So here's the issue I have with this intake. Over the stock intake, which I proved on a dyno, it was extremely restrictive, even with a cane and drop in. So much so, it collapsed the elbow on every dyno pole. It literally sucked it in. So I pulled the filter out of the box, did the dyno pole, still partially collapsed the elbow. So I knew there needed to be an upgrade made. So I got, obviously, this Volant Performance, I believe is how you pronounce it, intake for this truck. It's the only one they make for the 5.3 because it's a tight fit due to the radiator being a clutch fan, not electric fans. So I kind of had to go this route. No complaints, it's well made. I don't see any issues there, but compared to the stock intake box, this thing is on average 20 to 30 degrees hotter than ambient temps. And with the stock air box, I had it within 5 to 6 degrees within ambient temp by doing this mod, which is kind of hard to see, but this little inlet box, which is what the stock air box has as well, mixed in and kind of running an air duct between the lights right up here, just like the stock air box was, how I shoved it in there. It runs hotter, but it could be because in this box, if you can see down in here, they have an inlet down here that is a open hole. They give you a cap cover, and then this down here is supposed to feed down into, I would assume, let me get a light here. So as you can see right here, there is a inlet box that I kind of made, or I'm sorry, an inlet tube that I kind of made. Normally it's just a circle, goes right into the fender. That is the cold air intake inlet. And it's kind of hard to see in there, but you can kind of see it. It pretty much just lines the headlight, goes through it into the air box. Plain and simple. The factory setup, just a hole in the box, and it relies on all the air going through the fender, but if it's not pretty much being forced in there, it doesn't do a lot of good. But with this aftermarket Volant Performance box, hopefully the camera's picking it up, but down here there is another hole, and over here there's an inlet where the behind the headlights, so it's kind of some extra ways to form air. But with all that, my issue with this is it's on average 20 to 30 degrees above ambient temperature, so it gets really hot. 89 degree day, we're looking at seriously 120, 130 degree intake temps. With the stock air box on a 70 degree day, it was a 73 degree intake temp. 80 degree day, 83, 85 degrees. Like, we're talking 3 to 6 degree difference. So this thing runs hot. So I've done some tests. I'm not really sure if it's this inlet down here in the corner. I made a runner scoop for test runs. Can't really see it because of how dark it is. But it runs all the way down to the bottom. It goes into this guy. It's definitely not eye appealing by any means, but it works. I tested it, you know, the good old performance tuned way, and put a leaf blower to it, and air does rush up through it. So I imagine you're doing 35 or more, air is going to get to it. But I'm going to try capping it like they intended, do it again. If it still gets really hot, I'm actually going to try to cap down here where the headlight bucket is, and maybe just hot air from the radiator is going into the intake, and we'll see what happens. But my only complaint, if it remains this hot, it kind of defeats the purpose if you're such a hot intake temp that it's pulling timing anyways. Always use the right tools. Probably going to break it anyways because these clips are garbage. Hey look, I broke it. And it went somewhere I can't see. The abyss. And voila. So, as you can see what I was talking about, intake side, filter on the other side. Same as the factory air box, right into the fender. It relies on the open air going past the headlights into the fender. That's the inlet. It adds this to go behind the headlight. I think it's pulling in radiator heat, and then adds this, but it also comes with a cap. I tried to run an air duct to it. I'm gonna cap it and rerun that. Maybe that's my problem because it runs right along the heater hoses and everything else. So, and that's what we're gonna change today, because as of right now, it's 90 plus degrees today. My intake temps are like 120 degrees, just driving normal, to where normally stock intake with the stock intake filter or even the K&N, I mean, we're talking 6 degrees above whatever the outside temperature is. So let's see if we can fix that. Simple rubber cap, like I said, it's what it comes with. So I think from what I read on people that have had this, they're not even sure why this port is even here. I mean, it fits the truck perfectly. I'm not sure if this can get used on something else, maybe like a Hummer, because the Hummer and the 355 Colorados share a lot of parts. The suspension, the interior, the seat swap over, everything else. Engine-wise, LH8, V8 5.3 like I have, or the LH9. So there's that. But anyways, cap's back on. Good and tight. It's not going to pull any leaked air, and there's no hole in it. It's just a seal. But back to this, I'm not sure if this is pulling in a radiator heat, but if it remains the same after I cap this time, then I guess we'll reattempt to go that way as well. This is the ducting I tried to install before that runs all the way down under the front bumper that connects to this piece that I am now capping. And another recap, better picture, stock air box design that I just shoved a ducting in there to grab from behind the headlight for a better airflow capabilities. And this is what ran down to the lower part of the bumper. Let's reinstall and see what we get. A broken clip. The one thing that holds this box into place. One clip. And I broke it. But I think we can salvage it. There we go. One out. Locked in place. Now it holds. That's simple. Kind of dumb, but that's how it works, I guess. Like I said, nice clean filter. I'm a little disappointed on the filter. I mean, it looks good quality made. The problem is, I get what they're doing here for ease of doing the box. They make this very long and extended to go through the box and reach the actual intake elbow with the MAF installed. Downside is it kind of uses this wide gap to seal the box while it's mounted flush, so no hot air comes in. At the same time, it kind of causes turbulence. It's very flat in here. I might even be able to get the camera in there. Very flat. There's no edge, no perforated edge. I mean, even the stock air cleaner box kind of has like a velocity cone design. I do have a velocity cone filter that does fit in here. It's a lot smaller of a filter. It's about half this size, but it's designed for a velocity cone. I may see if Mitchell's Performance will let me do a back-to-back dyno to see if there's even a difference. A lot of people fight this box. It's very simple. Go into the freaking porthole and slide it into the coupler. That's all I gotta do. Some people say they fight this and fight this, can't get it in. I don't know where their problem is. It's that simple. And just recap, just to show you, it's a very tight fit. It's nice and sealed, but it's pushed all the way up against the box. So it's like that, as if to prevent heat from coming in from the seal right here. But lots of room though. Kind of a lot of extra room, maybe for no reason. I'm not really sure. They could have probably did a better filter, maybe one that rotated slightly or something. But then again, every curve in the pipe creates eddies, therefore more turbulence, loss of power. Hence on my Z car, Just for recap, that's a 5.3 liter LH8. It's the non-DOD VVT Gen 4 5.3. This is an LM7 out of an 05 Chevy Silverado. 5.3 liter. It's just got LS2 everything on it. This straight intake used to go down and over into the front fog light right here. Looked cool, sounded cool. You would think it did the best because it got ram air. This gets ram air as well. Just doing this straight pipe from 1, 2, 3 bends, 23 horsepower and 18 foot-pounds of torque. No joke. Speaking of this cover, it is nice, it's cool, you can see the filter, everything else. A lot of people claim or presume that it'll make more power actually without the cover than with the cover. Along back to the earlier conversation, with that filter running the best, then take the cover off, see if it does any more. I'm not talking typical dyno, fans blowing right on top of it, engines open. It would be closed, just like in a real world driving condition. Fan will be just out front. I'm not going to force feed it full of air because that's cheating. And she's back on. All ready to go. Now we just got to give it an old test drive and see how she does. I'm almost out of gas. Typical Cam Del S. I use the Torque Pro app. It's actually my dash on my Z car. But this will tell me, for those that don't know, this will tell me everything the ECU is doing. So as you can see, fuel, oil pressure, trans temp, oil temp, coolant, blah, blah, blah. How much fuel left? 16% fuel left. But intake temp, 95 degrees right now. So if I back out really quick and just verify kind of what today's temp is, 94 degrees in Billings, Montana. So it's 95 degrees and it will continue to climb because the engine is not even at operating temp. So let's see what happens as I drive. Yeah, I just said I was out of gas, just coming to a stop, and it's catching back up. It was 110 degree intake temp just from stopping. Let's see what it does just for me coming up to the gas station here. All right, let's try this again. Now it's been sitting for a few minutes just to get gas. Intake is 118 and climbing, just sitting here, which is going to happen. We're heat soaking it. So let's see how quickly it drops. Nice pedestrians. Alright, so here you are, practically back to ground zero. I still think, as you can see, I tried to just header wrap around the actual radiator hose. Maybe I need to header wrap the entire pipe. I mean, this thing is pretty hot. It's just surprising that this is still getting so hot, but I'm guessing it's just baking into this, baking the sensor. So maybe if I can prevent that, wrap that up, might not be that big of an issue. So maybe that's the next step. Well, that never happens. Literally dropped in the engine bay, hit my foot. I couldn't do that twice if I wanted to. I just did it twice. I don't know how. Three times, actually. If that wasn't on camera, no one would believe me. In order to remove the intake elbow, got to remove the actual intake itself. That way, this guy. Another complaint, this, but they do it, they don't showcase it when you're looking to buy it, but they do it because clutch radiator fan. But I also had an elbow in here and installed radiator fan, doesn't touch. That may be a future thing that I do. Cut it, I don't know, right here. Install an elbow so this is completely gone. Like they kind of, I don't know, shaved it up in there a little bit. But it's a pretty nice indent. It might not hurt a damn thing. It might only yield 1 horsepower. It might not make a big difference. But first things first, let's head to wrap this, see where we get. You need to see how far this intake filter goes on. So from the looks of it, yeah, pretty much goes to where the bend is. So as long as I avoid the bend, I think we're good. At least get some airflow in here because it is hot. I have some header wrap right here. I do recommend getting this wet. Makes it way easier and tighter to wrap. So I'm gonna go do that really quick, hang tight. I mean, honestly, by getting it wet, kind of prevents all those freaking nasty splinters that come with header wrap that everybody knows that's ever installed them. They get all over you. They create like a pin needle effect. Kind of annoying. What I like to do is I like to take the edge, kind of hard to see on camera, take the edge, fold it over, and it creates a tighter band as you wrap it. All right, and after some movie magic, this is kind of what we're looking at. Some better light. Fully done up. Obviously filter covers all that, so there's no point. And up to the throttle body. Installed. All new header wrap, everything else. Like I said, no clutch fan interference. Which is the big problem with these. Like I showed you the indent, I wrapped around that. So let's take it for another test drive. Let's see how everything does. 100 degrees now, as you can see down in this bottom corner. So it is heat soaking. This is what I'm going off of. Let it recap. 86 degrees, feels like 96. All right. So 100.4, let's see what she does here. Cruising while it's 87 now. That's better than it was, having the heat wrap on it now. So let's see where we're at here. Just sit here at the stop sign, there's no one behind me. I'll let it heat soak up a little bit. And then I'll get up to the speed limit of 45 going up a hill and see how fast it goes down compared to last time. All right, so it's climbing about a couple degrees every 30 seconds or so, 15 seconds. All right, now let's drive normal. Let's see how fast it goes down. And I do feel like it's possible that the behind the headlight ducting works when we're moving like this. There's no doubt. But I think what happens is when we're sitting there at idle, since I have a clutch fan, I mean, even with electric fans, but a clutch fan's big. It's moving a lot of air. And I think at idle, when it's sitting there just rotating, it's blowing the air everywhere, and we're at a standstill. So it's pushing it up against the intake and in through the side, right through, sucking in right there. And that's the closest part to the intake, so that's the only one that makes sense to me. So maybe in the near future I'll drive like this for a while, but maybe I'll test it by plugging that completely and seeing if it makes a difference. do the old test here. It's a 4L slippy, so you got to be careful here. 100-degree intake temp, just like that. That was the second gear, full pull, got down to 96. Well, there you guys have it. There is a difference using the header wrap and blocking the extra inlet, I would say. Maybe too close to the radiator, I'm not really sure. I still think the headlight bucket could be partially the problem. Maybe I'll block that in the near future. I say next test though is a different air filter, something with a velocity cone, not something with such an abrupt, elongated edge. Maybe I can get the local dyno to see if I can do a back-to-back comparison and see which one's better. And then maybe at the same time, once I figure out which one's better. Well, everybody, I guess that's the end, and that's the conclusion. We're better off with the header wrap than without. Even now, we're sitting at 89.6 degrees, so that's pretty good. So, like I said, we're sitting at 7 to 10 degrees above ambient temperature. As the last part, or the beginning part of the video, I was at 25, 30 degrees above ambient. So blocking off that second inlet on the intake box and header wrap in the intake apparently made the difference. Just goes to show heat soak is a big thing. If anybody has any questions, concerns, like to follow, any comments or experiences, or even something to try, just drop a comment below. Thanks.